Good morning, everyone. This is Kigonia Macmillan with the Enchanted Book Garden, and I have with us a fellow um, professional. She has written two books now. We did a review of her first book, and now she's back again with her second book, and we're going to talk a little bit with her. This is Kari Kling. Kari, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad to have you here with us. I'm glad to be able to have this live again, this stream live, so we'll be able to interact, learn about families, learn about children, and I'm glad to have you a part of our family journey. With
Well,
not just us as family, but in the family sense of the whole overword of the culture of family. I'm glad to have you to be a part of this with me.
thank you. It's my honor. And for those of you that may have seen one of my kid book reviewers for Grandma Helen's No No Room, when it first came out, Kigonia's son Emmanuel was a book reviewer, and he did another one, which we'll be putting out in the next day or so for my second book, the sequel, Aunt Katrina's No No Room. So thank you for giving him that opportunity.
Oh, you're welcome. And he had a great chance, great fun. It was a lot of fun for him because part of his learning at school is doing reviews. So that's where the section that they're on now is doing book reviews. So he
Perfect.
had a lot of fun with it. He talked to a lot of his classmates about the review. A lot of his teachers are aware of it now. So they're more inclined, especially during the summer, of suggesting different books to read for the summer.
Awesome.
So with that, I do have a few questions that I do want to talk with you about.
Sure.
Okay, so your first children's book, Grandma Helen's No No Room. It did come out last summer. What was your inspiration for writing this one?
Thank you for asking. This book is actually based on my childhood. My sister and I used to go visit our grandparents, and they lived in a very small apartment in New York City. And we were allowed to go anywhere in the apartment, which was really like three rooms. But my grandmother used to tell us, no, no, you mustn't ever go in that room. And what it was a big, I never went in it. It was a big closet, but because she was so adamant about, no, no, you mustn't ever go in that room, our imaginations as kids went wild, and we would see things, and we would think it was a clue about what was really going on in there, and our imaginations thought, it could be a chocolate factory when we saw a little chocolate wrapper on the floor. It could be jewels. It could be, anything based on our imaginations, and that's where it all stemmed from.
Okay. And then so your sequel on Katrina's No No Room, that was the one that was just released. How does this book relate to your first one?
It's a great question. And how this relates is that it's based on my sister and I. And Katrina is actually not my real name, but my father used to call me Katrina. So it was a nickname that he just made up. And so people thought that was my real name, but it never, it's not. And then so this is about what happened with Katrina and Linda at their grandma Helen's house. And then Katrina and Linda grow up and have their own kids, and then her family comes over. She's got six boys in real life. She's got six boys, and they used to come to my house, and I used to say to them, you can go anywhere in the house, in the backyard, but please, stay out of my office. Well, I would tell them no, no, and the whole experience continued, and they started trying to figure out what could really be going on in Aunt Katrina's no-no room. And so they would look for cute clues, and they would anything from superheroes to a magic button that would take them anywhere in the world that they wanted to, going up in the clouds. Um, it's really a very hilarious book, if I may say so myself. Both of them are very humorous and encourage children to use their imaginations.
Okay. So in your social media and also part of your dedications in each book, you talk a lot about the importance of child's imagination, which we're talking about here. What are your thoughts about this, and how do you think the development of a child's imagination is being impacted for children growing up in today's world,
Oh, that's
especially with the social media?
yes, it's so important. And I'm very, very concerned about it as someone who has been an educator, been a counselor. I've been working with families for 43 years, and I don't like what I see. And what I see, and again, this is stereotypical, it's a generalization, but what I see is kids don't have enough time to just think and to play and to be free. And kids, the curriculum in so many areas is getting moved down, and so things that maybe kids used to learn in second or third grade are being introduced in kindergarten and first grade. Kids are so busy with activities, whether it's sports or even dance or plays or art classes, music, whatever. All of those things are important, but what I'm finding is that so many kids are so stressed out. We have more kids with stress and anxiety related issues than ever before. And kids they need downtime to hear their own voices, to hear their own thoughts, to create their own dreams and goals, and not constantly be filled in a world of noise clutter where it's the teacher talking to them, the music, their parents, that they just need more downtime to develop their imagination. So many kids, when you ask them, what do you want to do? Or, what, I don't know, because they don't have time to develop that. And I think it's something we need to really enrich in our children's lives.
One thing that we did was we took a trip. Me, my children, and I. And I'll talk about this later within my podcast, I guess. We did take a trip, and just in us talking, we took a road trip. So we drove from Arizona all the way to Florida. Lots of time for videos, lots of time for video watching. But there are also a lot of times for us to just to think about our own imaginations, come up with our own stories. And so in a portion of that, Emmanuel and I discussed with his sister and brother who are older about imagination and imagining things. Like, hey, we one state we drove through the countryside and there's cows sitting on the side of the road. Like, what do you think they're thinking? So if you were involved with just looking at the video and you're so focused on social media, you're so focused on different electronics, you don't have time to think, hey, there's a
Yeah,
cow, and they hardly would ever see people just ride by. So what they end up doing was like, hey, let's move out them. So they move into the cows. The cows looked up like, wow. So they never had that thought that the cows would look up and look at them.
right.
But it was just a fun thing that we just did. It was just something fun and just really, really
Yeah,
unique. But it took them away from for them to bond with each other. So I think the imagination gives a chance and opportunity for the child to either to get to know themselves, for them to talk with their parents, for them to talk with the other siblings, to get the ideas of in your generation, in your time, in your thoughts. What are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on this? Because most children, they don't know because they're looking at social media cues. So a
yeah,
lot of that is so far gone where
right.
they do need to spend more time within themselves. So I think the imagination books will definitely help them, especially in the younger age group.
Right. And language development and family bonding, like you just said, Kigonia. And one of the things that hurts my heart is when I go out, and I say this without judgment. Parenting is hard. I get it. Believe me, I have 23-year-old twins, who, by the way, just moved back home with us after college to save money for a while, which I love. But when I go out and I see families and things, and it really hurts my heart to see, for example, a family at a restaurant and the kids are just on their iPads. Um, I get it keeps the kids quiet, but it's the more we give kids in terms of structured entertainment, the more bored they're going to become. When my
Because
kids,
they won't be able to function without it. So you get an instance where, say,
right,
like the cell towers go down, they're like, what do we do? They're like in complete panic. And as adults, we're sadly to say, we're in that same sense, of, oh no, I lost my phone, I lost my charger. What do I do?
yeah.
There's
Well,
lots of things we were doing before then. So just you have to show the
right.
children.
Right. And one of the things that I have found, and I've written articles about this, you don't have to be your child's CEO, chief entertainment officer.
No.
When my kids were little and they would say, I'm bored, instead of saying, oh, well, why don't you do this or why don't you do that? I would say, oh, I've been waiting for this moment. I'm so excited because now you're going to figure out what you want to do and how you want to spend your time. And let them be bored, let them figure it out. You can give them a few options, but my goal with these books is really to spur imagination and also language. And I know we're going to talk about that
Hmm.
in one of the questions.
Yes. Okay. So going to the next question, you use a lot of idioms in both of your books. Um, is there a reason that you choose to incorporate them? Any one or two that jump out at you as something that one of the children from any of the reviews have made mention of?
I love that question, and I love playing with language with kids. And for so many years, I've taught preschool through college and adults, but for a lot of years, I taught primary, so really preschool through third grade and early childhood, and that's a lot of my background. And idioms are really hard for kids because they don't know. And so things like "it's raining cats and dogs." I have a page here where I don't know if you can see that, where it says the teacher, asked if my head was in the clouds because I lost my lunch money. And when we lost our baseball game, Aunt Katrina said, um, every cloud has a silver lining. And kids don't understand that part of language, and so it's a wonderful experience to be able to sit down with kids, and I've got a lot more in there, to say, well, what does that really mean? Are cats and dogs really falling from the sky? No, there's actually some truth to I think that idiom came from dogs and cats used to be on the top of like barns in the old days, and it would rain a lot and they would fall through the the roof, and I think that's where that stemmed from. But it's a great way to enhance children's language while inspiring their imaginations.
Okay. How can parents or teachers use your book as a springboard to ignite the imaginations of the children in their lives?
Awesome question. And the way to do that is when children ask you a question, don't just tell them the answer. And you just talked about this, Kigonia, about with the cows, your example. And so don't just tell them the answer. Ask them, well, I'm not sure. What do you think? What do you think could be in that building? What do you think could be behind those doors? And to have this just imagine fest, if you will, of what could be. I think that's how we extend the opportunities for our kids. Kids look at things all day long. For example, kids in school, even in young grades, might be learning about, something in another state, in another country, but they don't understand what's going on in the lot across the street.
Right. Yeah, and to me, just to piggyback from what you were saying, and then a lot of things that I do, because I am so involved with creative writing, just trying to get the children to come up with their own imagination. And I do, as you know, have a wide range of age groups between my children, but it's always fun. My oldest will be 20 next month, and my youngest just turned 8. So there's four in total. But for them to talk amongst themselves about, hey, what do you think is over there? Hey, what do you think is on the other side of that mountain? Like, I don't know. So they're all thinking about it. So in their own education, in their own development, in their own experience, they have ideas. So they're all talk amongst themselves, especially like, we were the chance to be in when it's well, I'm from the South. So in the South, whenever it rains, like you were mentioning raining cats and dogs, whenever it rains, everybody turns off the power because they ask me, well, why do you turn off the power? They went to visit a grandma, turn off the power, you sit still because it's thunderstorm. Thunder is the lightning is attracted to movement. So it's for everybody's safety. Everybody sits down, sit still. So in those times, like in my own age in my own family, we would sit down and just talk amongst ourselves. So when we went to go visit, when it was raining and thundering, they're all sitting down quietly. So they're talking about just different things that they saw and different things. And what do you think we're gonna do tomorrow? What do you think we might see the next day? What do you think is gonna be over here? So it was just a chance for them all together. And I love that, especially during like spring break when we have trips, they're able to use their own imagination, and then I'm sure they could look it up, but they're like, let's just use your imagination first, and then think about what you are going to see, and think about what you're going to do, and then we'll see if that was who has the right idea, or is it towards something that you were thinking or leaning towards. So then the person, oh, I was right, oh nope, I was wrong, oh, I was right. So they're excited to see, even amongst the whole age group, of of each person's own ideas. So
Yeah,
I love that part. I love that about
yeah,
the whole age thing and talking, and then especially during summer, you have summer trips
right.
and summer breaks and ideas of what may even something simple as Emmanuel is at home and his sister's at work. Like, well, I'm a guess for what you do at work all day, and his her idea and his idea, they would talk to each other and like that's totally not what happens at work today.
That's,
That
but yeah, and the best
something
thing,
simple.
absolutely. And the best thing about it is with imagination, it doesn't have to be right or wrong. It's about what could be. And, I think people who achieve huge things in their lives and are able to reach their goals, they have developed their imagination because they're figuring out, okay, if I can't do it this way, maybe I could do it this way, or I could try this. And I
Yeah,
think I want kids to be able to be kids and not just work, structured activity, other people telling them what to do and how to do it. It's critical.
it is. It's very critical, and it helps to think outside the box. And it does help in the long run for if this doesn't work, okay, well, let me think about what other options that could possibly take forth or take plan or take, so it would help as a little child all the way to full grown adulthood of thinking outside your box. So the imagination is a key and it changes and you just have to keep using it and it will grow and you'll find more ideas about yourself and your own development. Lastly, where can people in our audience watching this interview get a copy of your books?
Well, the first place they can go is your online bookstore, and I know you're going to talk about the Enchanted Book Garden in a few minutes, so they can get it there, and they can also get it online at Amazon and Barnes and Noble online. So thank you for asking.
Okay. So yeah, so my bookstore is the enchantedbookgarden.com. We do have a lot of books on there that is based on Amazon. And also there will be a few that you can purchase directly from there and that I would be able to send to you. Um, so thank you, Kari, for meeting with me, for interviewing with me and
Oh,
talking more about your books. Did you have any last words of fun and inspiration for the children for the summer?
just thank you for having me. Thank you for encouraging your son to be one of my book reviewers. The books come in hardcover and soft cover. And just I'd love to hear your feedback if you read it and tell me what you loved about it and what you found funny, any ideas you have. I'm not planning on doing a sequel to the second one, but you never know.
You never know. And if other children want to come out and read books, are there would there be like any type of giveaways or any type of lotteries or anything for the
Yeah,
books?
I just did a big giveaway. So I'm not planning on another giveaway right now, but for those people who are local in the Phoenix area, I am scheduling right now to come out to schools to read. I know it's the end of the school year coming up here. We finish early here in Arizona. But even next year at the beginning of the year, one of my favorite things to do is to read to children, and I'll come out and talk about what it's like to read a book or to write a book and have books available if anybody would like that. And you can contact me at Kari@karikling.com, or you can reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram at karikling.parenting or Carrie Simmons Kling on Facebook.
Okay, and you can also reach me with the Enchanted Book Gardens here on my Facebook page.
Thank you
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, and thank you all for watching. Have a
Thanks.
good day.
Bye bye.
Bye.